Dopamine is strongly associated with pleasure and reward. Of course, it's not as simple as that. In fact, there's a lot more to this complex chemical. Dopamine is involved in neurological and physiological functioning. It's a contributing factor in motor function, mood, and even our decision-making. It's also associated with some movement and psychiatric disorders. Welcome to another episode of Health and Wealth. Subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest uploads. All right, let's get into today's video. What is dopamine? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter made in the brain. Basically, it acts as a chemical messenger between neurons. Dopamine is released when your brain is expecting a reward. When you come to associate a certain activity with pleasure, mere anticipation may be enough to raise dopamine levels. It could be a certain food, sex, shopping, or just about anything else that you enjoy. For example, suppose your go-to comfort food is homemade double chocolate chip cookies. Your brain may increase dopamine when you smell them baking or see them come out of the oven. When you eat them, the flood of dopamine acts to reinforce this craving and focus on satisfying it in the future. It's a cycle of motivation, reward, and reinforcement. Now, imagine that you've been longing for those cookies all day, but your coworkers scarfed them down when you were sidetracked by a conference call. Your disappointment might lower your dopamine level and dampen your mood. It might also intensify your desire for double chocolate chip cookies. Now you want them even more. So aside from its feel-good function, dopamine is involved in many body functions, and these include blood flow, digestion, executive functioning, heart and kidney function, memory and focus, mood and emotions, motor control, pain processing, pancreatic function and insulin regulation, pleasure and reward-seeking behavior, sleep, stress response. So keep in mind that dopamine isn't acting alone. It works with other neurotransmitters and hormones, such as serotonin and adrenaline. An array of environmental factors also affect your physical and psychological well-being. How does dopamine make you feel? The right amount of dopamine usually goes along with a pretty good mood, and it's ideal for learning, planning, and productivity. Dopamine contributes to feelings of alertness, focus, motivation, happiness, and a flood of dopamine can produce temporary feelings of euphoria. Can you tell if you have a dopamine deficiency? Low dopamine is one reason you may not be in the best mood. You might have reduced alertness, difficulty concentrating, less motivation and enthusiasm, poor coordination, movement difficulties. Lack of sleep may lower dopamine levels. Lack of dopamine may make you sleepy, but not sleeping may also lower your dopamine. One small study in 2012 suggested that sleep deprivation can lead to a noticeable reduction in the availability of dopamine receptors in the morning. Here's some conditions associated with low dopamine levels. Parkinson's disease. Symptoms include tremors, slowed movement, and sometimes psychosis. Depression. Symptoms include sadness, sleep problems, and cognitive changes. Dopamine transporter deficiency syndrome, also known as infantile Parkinsonism dystonia. This condition causes movement abnormalities similar to those of Parkinson's disease. So what happens when you have too much dopamine? Very high levels of dopamine can make you feel on top of the world, at least for a while. It can also put you into serious overdrive. In excess, it may be a contributing factor in mania, hallucinations, delusions. Too much dopamine can play a role in obesity, addiction, and even schizophrenia. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed it and you found it interesting, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.